And we are now joined by Melanie D'Arrigo, candidate for Congress in New York's 3rd District, which is basically Nassau County, Long Island, and a little bit of other parts, right? Am I right?
Yes, historically it has been the North Shore of Long Island, Suffolk County, Nassau County, and also northeastern Queens. Right now we're waiting to see what the new district lines look like.
All right. Well, yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully it doesn't change too much, right? How do you campaign if you're not sure what your district is going to be?
Yeah, well, look, we always knew this was going to be a redistricting year. So, I'm an organizer. So we were very strategic and surgical about where we were doing our knocking and our voter outreach and where we were doing our visibility. When the initial lines were redrawn, we were actually redistricted into a district that had 5 counties, part of the Bronx and Westchester, a little bit of the coast of Westchester up to the Connecticut border. So that was a little bit tricky to, travel around and get to know all these new voters. But those maps, have been thrown out by the courts due to extreme gerrymandering. And now, we're awaiting our new maps. So we're going to continue doing what we do best. And that's just being really surgical and strategic about our voter outreach.
Awesome. Well, I should say Melanie is a progressive candidate, Medicare-for-All, Green New Deal, ending corruption, cutting military budgets, all the good stuff. And you have run in this district before because it used to be represented by Tom Suozzi, who is now running for governor in what I perceive as an ill-fated choice, but who knows? How did that open things up for you? I mean, there's a lot of candidates in your primary, but you've run in this district before. Do you feel like you kind of have a leg up, given the fact that it's such a crowded field and you've run before?
Absolutely. And I will say to the viewers, this is what progressive power looks like. We terrified this corporate incumbent and scared him out of the race. So he was too afraid to face us again, which of course opened up this primary. Look, there are a lot of folks that see primaries, especially establishment folks. They see it as their opportunity or what they're entitled to. Look, I love a good primary. I think it really fosters democracy. It allows us to expand the electorate, bring more folks in. But look, I'm the only candidate in this race that is running for true change. And, we've got the receipts to prove it. So we're feeling that we're in a very good position to win. Last cycle, obviously the pandemic hit. We couldn't have foreseen that. Even being outspent nearly 10-1 with the inability to knock doors, we got nearly 30% of the vote. So we are back with a lot more name recognition, with a bigger, broader coalition of support. We've got the most endorsements in the race. We've got the most volunteers. We've got the most individual donations. And the response has been excellent. As we know, voters are feeling really apathetic and they're very frustrated right now. And I think if there was ever a time for real progressive leadership to take over, it is now.
So your primary is on August 23rd, just so people know that. This is a unique district. North Shore, Long Island has a lot of money there. It's I'm pretty sure Sean Hannity lives there. Just like that's somebody who I'm just like coming to mind. It's a suburb of New York, but Long Island sometimes trends more conservative than other suburbs of New York in northern New Jersey, other Westchester County, things like that. That's the perception. But you also have parts of Queens there, right? What's unique about running in this district as a progressive with all of these policy proposals that we as a progressive show agree with? How do you tailor that, and how do you talk to people? What does the response say if you're in Huntington, New York, versus if you're in the campaigning in Queens? Is it a fairly universal response? Because let's face it, Suozzi was able to maintain that seat largely because he cultivated a large donor base of wealthy people in that area, and they still exist.
Yeah. So here's the thing about District 3. It certainly has, it's one of the wealthiest districts in the country. It's also equally, I think it's the 5th wealthiest in the country and the 6th largest wealth inequality gap, just to give you, that context. Yes, Tom certainly did cultivate a long list of wealthy donors, sent a lot of lobbyist money. Unfortunately, we know that lobbyists buy elections, right? And so do big money networks. Unfortunately, we have seen that over and over and over. It's also hard to, as particularly as progressives, many of us first-time, even second-time candidates, we're going up not only against that money, but often considerable name recognition. So what is different about my district is that, certainly while Long Island is, and even this area of Queens, historically has not been organized in the sense that, door knocking and real true voter outreach and relational organizing has largely been missing up until very recently. So what we're finding is it doesn't much matter if we're knocking in Huntington, we're knocking in Port Washington, we're knocking in Belrose, Queens. It doesn't much matter because we have found that educating voters and really making it as accessible as possible for them to plug in is really a winning method. And I think that that is really going to be crucial in this particular race. So for the viewers who may not know, my primary was supposed to be June 28th, but because they threw out the lines, our primary, just congressional and Senate, state Senate races are moved to August 23rd. This means that voter turnout is going to be severely depressed, right? It's that always happens when an election is moved. It's also the last week of summer when a lot of families are away. So that, I believe, is an incredible opportunity for progressives to step up, to organize, and really take back the power that we know our communities deserve and that our communities need. For me, I have never moderated my message. I believe if I walk into a tough room that, I may not believe is a Medicare-for-All room, maybe it's not a we need to cut the military budget kind of room. That doesn't mean I change my message. It means I work harder. I educate harder. I come with the facts and we meet people where they are. And that has been a winning recipe for success. And that is why I know this district is ready and excited about progressive leadership.
So you've worked as a healthcare advocate for a while, and you mentioned Medicare-for-All. Well, I'll ask you a two-part question, if that's okay. One, how easy of a decision was it for you to support this kind of broad single-payer legislation? And then I guess the second part is, as somebody who's put that at the forefront of their campaign, what's your response to the awful news that's coming out of the Supreme Court and as a woman's right to choose is being taken away?
Yeah. So I spent my career building preventive health strategies, for families and patients in later organizations. So, the bulk of my life has been in preventive health, and I'm a mom of 3. So supporting Medicare for All is a no-brainer and was a no-brainer. Interestingly, when I ran on a Medicare for All platform in 2019, some of my now opponents in the race told me that a candidate in this district could never win running on Medicare for All. Fast forward to today, now everyone's borrowing pieces of my policy because it's a winning message. Now, a lot of things went into that, right? Firstly, the grassroots in this district really have rallied, and really beyond, throughout Long Island and throughout New York, have done extensive amount of outreach into communities, educating folks on how universal health care would impact their lives directly. And it makes sense to a lot of folks. And of course, the pandemic, I think that really changed perception. So for me, running on Medicare for All, though, was it was the easiest decision, because I don't think as regular folks, folks that, I'm not someone that's connected politically. I'm not someone who's connected to immense wealth. I don't decide to run for Congress to do the wrong thing, right? We run for Congress as progressives because we know we desperately need change. So that means really fighting for all people, especially those on the margins. And anytime we find a policy that can uplift folks, that's the policy we're going to, run with and really work to, to pass. Regarding Roe and the leaked memo, I think, it's an affront to women and non-binary people and trans men everywhere. It's, of course, as a mother, as a woman, it is heartbreaking to see that, it's like we're looking in a window, right? A window into the future. I don't think that, those of us who have been in the fight for reproductive justice are surprised at Medicare-for-All about this leaked memo.
Right.
I think that's why so many of us went to DC to protest Kavanaugh. I was also there protesting Coney Barrett, because we could see this coming. We sprung into action right away once the leaked memo came out. We had a rapid response rally. We brought people together in the community to rally hard. And I think this is going to be a real issue in the upcoming elections.
100%. Well, Melanie, where can people find more about you and about your campaign? And if they're in Long Island or in the area, how can they help out?
Absolutely. My website is D'Arrigo 2022. That's DARRIGO 2022.com. You can find me on Twitter at D'Arrigo Melanie or on Instagram or Facebook at D'Arrigo for Congress. Awesome.
And this is New York's 3rd district. So if you're on the North Shore of Long Island, it's likely that, or Nassau County, parts of Queens, just check it out. Make sure you know which district you're in. You might be in New York 3rd. Thank you so much, Melanie. I really appreciate your time today. And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we will put links to all that stuff in the description. All right, we're good. Yeah,
Great.
We got it. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.